everybody, I just want you to take a quick look at my shirt. It combines my two favorite things, hot dogs and horror. Of course, I'm Celia from Let's Talk Terror, and today we're diving into a savory short that I actually reviewed a couple months back. Tasteless is a jaw dropping story that will leave you craving for more. So let's go talk about it. Hello, Joe.
Hi,
Would you
Shelley.
like me to call you
Yeah.
Joe or Joseph, or what do you go by?
Joe's good. I'm Joseph on Instagram, I think, because it just like populated that for me. And
Okay, okay. Well, Joe, welcome. If you could, before we get into talking about your film, please tell us who you are. What do you do?
oh, thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure. I am a director, writer, now an actor. This was my first role, and I've auditioned for outside of a Hannaford commercial, which is a local grocery chain, where I acted opposite a sheepdog. Um, this is my first legitimate role in stuff that I haven't just been killed off in like 5 minutes in Friends short films. But
Hey, better than nothing.
yeah, no, I'm fine with it. It's fun. I like being the being the weird, the weird guy that's like dancing around, or the vampire that the love interest, like the person the love interest has in a monster movie, like
Yes.
is, is like a targeting because he's talking to the girl I like or whatever, and I'm a monster and I have to kill him now. So I've always been that guy. But people told me, hey, they're like, you were really natural, and I was like, I was in that movie for like 3 minutes. I'm like, maybe that's because I cry a lot. I don't know.
Hey,
I got the
maybe.
range. I got the range of emotions. So yeah, and I do some music as well. Producer sometimes depending on the project. I've worked on a couple things in that capacity, so I've kind of done everything at this point. And but my heart is in writing. It always will be. I can sit there all day, and I have to remind myself to get out of the house and and go interact with the real world. But that's and then I found out I loved directing um, in my just kind of through the being thrown in the fire and doing it. And it's very counter uh intuitive to like the way that my brain works almost, which is to like think through an idea like 75 different ways, and like but then you're presented on set, you're like red shirt or blue shirt, and you have to be like red shirt and say
Yeah.
with all the conviction in the world, which is it's really good for me, and I learned to love it, and I really feel like I've grown into the role. And I think because I'm uh you know a kind of mild mannered, or not, maybe not mild. I'm a passionate person, but I'm like kind of even tempered.
Yeah.
It suits me well. Um, and yeah, so that's where my focus really lies right now, is acting and directing and writing my own projects and trying to get things like that off the ground.
And of course, the project that we're here to talk about today is Tasteless. Now, can you give me a quick rundown of the story of Tasteless? Don't tell us all of it because I want people to see it, but
Yeah.
what is Tasteless about?
Tasteless is it stars Bonnie DiCipolo, a friend of mine who I'd wanted to work with for quite some time, and myself. It's kind of a two-hander, um, where a gentleman comes into a French restaurant and he says that his date has stood him up. Is it all right if I come? And is it weird if I come inside and eat? Still, even though I'm a little early for my reservation, and she says no. And things get progressively more odd from there, and where what starts as a seemingly normal interaction at a restaurant between two people, a chef and a patron.
I'm glad that you brought up it starts to get more and more odd because there's so many genres that Tasteless goes through in such a short time. And it's crazy how you put it all together. Now, where did this idea come from to begin with?
The movie idea or the genre idea?
Both, both.
Well, the movie idea, like I said, I'm a voracious writer. I'm always working on something, big, small, anything, blockbuster, like dreaming. I'm always dreaming of things. And the idea for it kind of is a spoiler.
Okay.
Uh, but I had the idea of what if a certain type of person were to taste something, and what would that experience be like for that? And then my mind just kind of went off of it from there.
Okay.
So I think there's a bit of a rich backstory and more to be told here, in this world. The idea for genre, I mean, I love working in genre film. I've had the opportunity to go to Citrus and Film Quest and recently Nightmare in the Ozarks. If people aren't aware of that festival, they should be because it is incredible. Just a quick shout out there to Colton and Miriam, um, who put that together. It's basically like a team full of scientists that run the festival. So like you wear like a smartwatch and it measures how scared you are during movies and
Oh,
stuff
that's
like that.
cool.
Yeah, and they collect the data, and sometimes the movie that you like the most doesn't always correlate what scared you the most.
Right.
Um, and so they've all written books on the science of horror and stuff like that. And there's a big group there. And Eureka Springs, Arkansas is low key one of the most interesting places I've ever seen in my life. So I had a great time there, and I hope that more people find out about Nightmare in the Ozarks because it was top notch. Yeah, I really enjoy the idea of playing with genre, playing with expectations, subverting expectations whenever I can. Um, I think of a movie like Parasite as a great
Hmm.
example of that, where it kind of cycles through several different iterations of itself, or mutates into several different things, and then you're like, what is this? It starts off as this kind of like fun, like get back at the rich type of story. It's like really cool. Like we're inhabiting, they're the parasites inhabiting their life, and then it turns into this like um like really crazy psychological thriller, and then straight up horror, like
Yeah.
slasher stuff. And spoilers, sorry for everybody that hasn't seen Parasite. I don't think
It's
that really.
it's been out a while. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't think that game gives it, that don't let that deter you. It's still surprising. But yeah, so I that's an when I think about it, I'm like, how do I marry these very disparate themes, and a lot of that just comes from like planting breadcrumbs throughout the movie that I think if you're watching it for the first time, you might be a bit not confused. I hope to take people on uh, a ride with this movie, and that bears repeated viewing to see like, oh, when he said that, that was something that I didn't pick up on.
Yes.
I love stuff like that. I love movies that have replay value because it doesn't necessarily tie it up in a neat bow. Um, so ambiguity is something that I look at when I'm writing, just kind of natural, instinctual uh, things that I gravitate towards where we're sort of at play, I think, when trying to figure out how to do this. And the big challenge with that was when I went into score it with my tremendous composer, Thomas Peters. It was like, okay, how do we create a safe space, so to speak,
Mhm.
so people feel like a sense of security, and then when things aren't so secure anymore and it pivots to these certain things, um, how do we do that seamlessly? And that was an interesting challenge, and one that I take pride in that Tom worked with me on it, and I know how much that score meant to him. So it was we were nominated at Film Quest for that score. So that was having a music background myself and getting to work with him was really fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's well deserved. Um, are you the kind of person that thinks sitting in a restaurant by yourself is scary? Do you do that often or not at all?
You know, it's funny. I was just doing it the other day, and I was thinking about it. Just happened to be, I drove down to, I'm up in Hudson, New York now, which is like in the Catskills and the Hudson Valley area. So I moved from Albany, my hometown, which is the capital of New York. So it's about an hour away from like my friends and family and stuff now, because I got married and we met halfway. I wouldn't say it's scary to me. I do feel like I enjoy company in those situations. I sat and ate some Chipotle. I know, gross, but like, no,
I like Chipotle.
I like Chipotle too. I treated myself to some Chipotle, and I was like, wow, I can't remember the last time I just did this. You know, I'm usually here with a friend or I usually go out to eat with like family. I'm not a big go out to eat guy in general. But I think of like movies too. I mean, it's such a communal experience that I like to share that with people. You know, I like to share that experience and what did they think about it? You know, talking about it as soon as you get out and kind of processing it together. And that's part of the fun for me. So, I don't think it's weird. I think it's like extremely normal. Um, what is weird? You know, like so
Yeah.
that was kind of at the heart of like some of these questions are questions that if you were asking a certain type of person, no spoilers, are humanistic questions, you know,
Yes.
meant to elicit a specific response, or to gauge what somebody might think about something like that. So my take is no, like go see movies alone, go do, you know, get comfortable with yourself. I like solo traveling, I think is awesome. You know, like I think you can learn a lot about yourself, kind of putting yourself out there. And some of my most proud moments as a human being were when I took a leap and did something scary that was solo.
Yeah. It's not
Free,
scary
free
until you do
solo.
it.
Right, exactly.
So, Tasteless builds a very uncomfortable tension that you can like really feel it between the a chef and her customer. How did you manage to make me feel that way in this movie? Was there anything special that you did, like cinematography wise, or is it just the writing is so good that you're just
Oh,
gonna automatically know?
Oh, there were definitely some shots that were worked in to kind of help turn the dial. It's about how you turn the dial. If you turn it too fast, then it's like you kind of blow the thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of turning up the dial on the temperature gauge ever so slightly. I've been using cooking puns a lot, and I was searching for
I
one that
love it. Keep using them.
yeah.
Very apropos.
Yeah. So there's a specific shot where it kind of switches from over the shoulder to over the other side of my shoulder, where you can sense almost a color shift in the room, an actual color shift in the room, and a real turn in the tide over um, a sort of misunderstanding. He says I wanted my character to be somebody who says things that usually you keep in your head and don't say it.
Yeah.
And he's the one who will say it, but with a straight face.
Giving
So,
serial killer vibes.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, and some of that's influenced by, you know, comedic things too. Like I like awkward humor, you
Mhm.
know, whether it's like I think you should leave. I'm a huge fan of right now, or like Nathan for You, or anything, The Rehearsal, like stuff like that, that really um, makes you feel a sense, you know, and it feels like there is a huge correlation between horror and comedy,
Yes, definitely.
as you see now with so many directors transitioning successfully from sketch comedy to, you know, being like exceptional film
Yes,
directors.
for
Um,
sure.
so yeah, no, that's an interesting question, and I was very much trying to make you feel that way.
Well, you succeeded.
Thank you.
And speaking of that, there's a certain point in this movie. I'm not gonna say what it is, but there's a certain point in this movie where everything changes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that this is what it was gonna be. Did you always have that change in mind, or did it just, you're writing the story and then it's like, I wonder, and you just changed it then?
No, because that idea was the kind of centerpiece is
Okay,
of the revelation of what the story was, or like the
okay.
seed, what the story was based around that revelation. How I knew, I wrote it in a day, actually. This screenplay I wrote it very, very quickly.
Wow.
So it kind of just leaped off the, you know, leaped out of my brain onto the page. I was like, I want to do a short. I haven't done something and I want to keep, my skills, the knife sharpened. Um, and Yeah, so there was Tasteless, and there was an opportunity to work with Bonnie, and she's gone on to do incredible things since then. She was just in the new Superman, as Mrs. Jessup, as part of Luther Corps, and as well as Peacekeeper with John Cena. So she's now in the DC universe with her own Funko Pops, and
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I'm super happy for her, and we found a little what do you call it? Just a little gap in the schedule to be able to pull this off. We had 2 days to shoot it and kind of like limited time, limited budget. I was like, I just want to shoot something. I got lucky enough to have this place called the Mazone House in Saratoga work with me to allow me to use that beautiful location. Um, and that does a lot of the work too. I pride myself on if I wasn't a direct that's like the other thing. If I was working on a big set, I think I'd be on like a huge, blockbuster film. I think I'd find myself like in the location department or the art department or something like that. But if I'm not directing, I really like finding locations. I really like just driving around and like
Yeah.
seeing like, oh, that abandoned spot looks dope. What is that? Like so that's part of the fun of that's why I like going on road trips to festivals because like the drive is part of the fun. So I always had that in mind from the jump. I just had to kind of reverse engineer it from there to figure out how we get there.
Now, speaking of your different roles, you wrote this, you directed it, you starred in it. Was that hard, or are you just really good at multitasking?
Oh, it was hard.
'Cause
I
for
love
me, I'm like, that's too many jobs. I don't want I don't want that many jobs. I'm not gonna do that.
and yeah, and then you add in producer, sort of,
Yeah.
sourcing props and money, look, doing that's part of the game right now, like if you're and it's good to do those jobs too because it gives
Yes.
you a sense of what everybody's doing on set. And I think if you're a director, you should know those things. And acting was a role that I never, acting was something that like I'm like, heck, I want to do that, but like I might get sent auditions and I'm like, this looks like really bad. Or like this looks like I don't want to be in this Hallmark like knockoff Hallmark movie. No
Yeah.
shade. There's some good Hallmark movies, don't get me wrong, but like I don't want to be it. So like I'd get some I'm like I don't know. So I was like, let me just write a part for myself. I'll save some money and I'll get to do something that I've always wanted to do. And I found it hard in certain respects. Directing and writing I don't find so hard anymore because I've kind of over time learned to take off the director hat and put on the writer, or excuse me, take off the writer hat and put on the director hat when I step in and realize like, okay, you can't be precious about everything. You got to pick your battles. You got to like know what's really important. And if you don't say it, like other people are just gonna be like assume like we're good to go.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was something I learned very early, and then just kind of fine-tuned that approach. And um, as a human being and as a filmmaker, you grow kind of tangentially alongside uh if you're putting in like the self work. It's like a movie set is like an ultimate test of character in a way too, like how do you respond with under fire, when something goes wrong? Are you gonna bug out or are you gonna think of a solution? And so like I'm a solution guy. And the tough part about acting, maybe if I had formal training or something like that, but I never had formal training in anything I did. I was, I movies and music very much saved my life, and I mean that in like a very real sense. Like I was not going like in my younger years, I was a very different person who was going down a very treacherous path, and I found light and this passion in that, and it means so much to me telling stories that I throw myself into it. I knew I had to throw myself into it back then, and it was it's been a decade or so of intense focus and discipline and self-discipline. Um, and they say you can learn as much about a bad, from watching a bad movie as a good movie. And
Yes.
I watched a lot of movies. So I watched a lot of movies and it started to become, I couldn't go into a movie theater without feeling like I needed to have a notepad of like, oh, why did I like that? What was so good about that? And the one thing I always felt like I had is something to say. Um, so I honed my voice and then I learned the craft. And with acting, you know, it's something that I'm interested in continuing to do more of. People have expressed to me they're surprised that it was my first role, which is a nice compliment to hear from your
Yeah.
fellow players. Um, to go toe to toe with somebody on Bonnie's level, she helped elevate my game for sure, challenged me of like, well, if you don't keep me here, I'm going. And so uh I had to think of things like as a character and as a director at the same time. But the most challenging part was I wrote myself this monologue that was quite long. And, and it went and I didn't think it was that long. It's amazing. Maybe it's not even that long, but it's that it kind of cycles through different types of talk, and I can't like say what types of talk they are, but like procedural types of talk. It's like emotional to procedural to a different kind of procedural, and that was really
Yes.
hard to nail on one take. And I was like, I know the script back, left, front, and center, but I would, I would flub something or I'd miss something, and you're going for you're 8 hours in and and you're hungry and I forget to eat when I'm directing and someone's like, you need to eat and like, get you, just like I'm in the moment. So that's the hardest part to me, was like live longer in character. Um, is a lesson I took away from this, and I made really good friends with this Romanian couple. We were kind of traveling sort of together, like because we were both at Ozarks and Film Quest. Adrian Tofay and Duru Yücel, who made a movie called We Put the World to Sleep. And he had previously made a movie called Be My Cat about Anne Hathaway. So um, some they found footage filmmakers from Romania that are wildly talented. Um, and he, he lives for a couple months in character before he does something like if he should, and that's his method. And I think it's really interesting, and I think there's like an inherent negative connotation, kind of similar to what Daniel Day-Lewis just said about that.
Hmm.
Must mean it's like, no, he just prefers to like stay in the sandbox rather than to jump in and out of it. It's just like it's not like an inherently pretentious thing. Not to say that there isn't pretentious people in
Yeah.
each side of the argument there, but I don't even know why we're having the argument. It's just the way that he works, and I feel like I uh, really, really got on with him, really got on with Duru, and we're working on something now together.
Oh, okay.
I can say, which I'm excited about, very excited about. Um, and yeah, and we talked about what that would look like in terms of living in character and things like that, and what
Okay.
and I'm like I'm interested to see how my American friends will respond to this, but we're gonna deal with it.
Yes. You guys are gonna have to deal with it for a little bit. Just see,
Yeah.
it'll pay off in the end.
I'm like telling you, it's like they're fun as hell, man. So it's like, yeah, and so if you haven't seen their movie, We Put the World to Sleep, check it out on wherever you can find it. It's not out yet, but if you have seen it, make sure you review it on Letterboxd. And hey, if you liked Tasteless, anyone who's seen it, please do the same. I hate saying that. I hate being that guy, that like subscribe guy from YouTube or whatever.
You
But
have to, though.
that's part of the, yeah, I want more people to see what we're doing. So that's all it is. It's all it is whether you loved it, you hated it, you know, um, you gotta play the game a little bit, right?
Yeah. Now, the world of Tasteless, let's talk about that because pretty much the whole movie takes place in a very small space, but you manage to expand that world without us even seeing it. How did you do that? Because like you're talking about your monologue earlier. It's like you give us so much information about what is happening with the world, everything outside of this space. And I just find that that's amazing that you did that.
Thank you. I guess I would say that I like to think big picture. I like to think about backstory, even if it's something that you don't see in the movie or you don't. And I don't like, and I'm very over time. I've kind of curated my writing to be very um, aware when I'm delivering exposition, um, and having that stuff come up naturally, so it doesn't isn't just somebody word vomiting at you is really important to me. And I feel like as I go into the world of features, as my next step, that having that room to kind of breathe a little bit
Yeah.
is only assisting me in being able to like tell the stories the way that I want to tell them. Um, Short films are super fun. I'm even a fan. I like you can tell a story. You can tell a good story in 30 seconds or less. That's why like
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick was obsessed with commercials. Like people will appreciate that if even if it's a commercial. Like you can tell something in 30 seconds or less. They'll appreciate it if it's good. That's all that matters. Is it entertaining? Is it saying something? And it's like, you know, even stuff that's it's thought of as like boring or annoying, like that. If it's done well, you'll see like loads of comments on like some video for a Shakti mat or something like that. Like this is pretty funny. I like this. Um, Totally random aside there, but like, uh, yeah. I guess I like to tee up the idea of a bigger thing. Um, I've made some things that are proof of concept before. Um, The Fledgling is one that I did that was at Film Quest in Citrus. And that was very much supposed to be like a television show. And I foolishly during COVID wrote the entire show. Uh, just to kind of see. I should, but I was good learning,
Yeah.
so but it's like you come like, oh, you only really need the pilot. Um uh and maybe not even that. Sometimes you can just sell an idea. But yeah, we got close to the mountaintop with that, semi close to the mountaintop. We had showrunners attached, Darren Swimmer and Todd Slavkin of Smallville and Mysterious
Oh,
Benedict Society were came on as consultants, and then eventually we're like, we'd like to run the show. And and they're like, would that be okay with you? And I'm like, yeah.
yeah, of course.
Absolutely. No one's giving me $30 million and as somebody that's unproven or whatever.
Right.
Oh. Uh when it didn't end up happening for various reasons, runways getting filled up, writers strike, whole bunch of factors.
Yeah.
Um, it was you have to learn to roll with the punches, and I feel like I've gotten just better and better at like shaking it off. And so this was like something I sunk a lot of time into, but I learned a lot from it. And I learned and what came out of that was so much growth in my life as a person. I met my wife. I probably wouldn't have met her if that didn't happen. And I wrote a bunch of feature films, budget conscious feature films. What can I shoot right now? What can I shoot with a limited budget? What can I shoot if I have 100 grand? What can I shoot if I have 500 grand? What can I shoot if I have 2 million? And have just like prepared myself as well as I can. And then I started dropping a bunch of music too. And I just like kind of turned myself into a like I let it galvanize me to uh to just like, and sometimes that comes at the cost of balance, and I have to be wary of that as an artist, as I think as we all do, of like
Right.
we can lose, I can spend a little bit too much time where I could carve out more space for things, and that's important, It sucks now because it's the winter because I love to run.
Yeah.
So now I'm like I've lost a little. I'm like I gotta join a gym or something because I gotta be able to get out of the house and do other things and obviously see friends and family and just have that kind of balanced life. But I'm a very disciplined, um, intensely hardworking writer. And so I just kind of have always had that belief in myself that like if I just keep pushing, if I just keep pushing, if I just don't quit, if I just keep getting better, then you know, it'll work out. Uh, because and maybe it doesn't, but at least I tr there's like this quote from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest where it's like Jack Nicholson is trying to lift up this like water fountain that's like this big water fountain, I think it is. And they're like, you can't do that. And they're making bets on the side. They're making fun of him. And he tries to lift it up. And he's got the neck going and he gives up. And he walks out of the room and he says something along the lines of, I feel like it's a Mandela effect, but in my mind he says something like, at least I tried, God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
At
At
least
least you tried. Because I mean, you can't be mad if nothing works out if you don't at least try.
I cannot I have to see this through, I guess is where I'm at. And I feel like a lot of good things have been happening lately, and that's very exciting. To start to see the fruits of the labor and the opportunities present themselves, and what was once, maybe just a delusional belief in your own self start to manifest, and other people believe. Other people can see what you see. And that's really lovely. And I'm very grateful to my team around me. Um, who I could talk at length about, but my loving wife is and my mother has always been somebody that I could turn to and believed from the beginning, even when I was going through difficult times. Um, and my wife, I also write with her too. She's off camera right now 'cause she's probably doesn't want to be on camera right now, um, but we've written a couple screenplays together and are kind of working as a team now with a few people as we're looking to get a very large opportunity off the ground that we're in the middle of right now, and it could lead to a lot of good things. A lot of good things.
Okay, well,
Maybe a follow up.
that's a good segue. So is there anything you can tell us about what is to come in the future, whether that be something with Tasteless specifically or any other projects? If there's anything you can say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super open to the idea of Tasteless as a, a kind of Black Mirror-esque show of like these different sort of events, whether it's heartless, mindless, like, and
Oh, I like that.
That was actually a Bonnie idea when we were figuring out how we were going to be submitting this to festivals and stuff. So I think there is something there with that. It's just where is it on my runway right now type of thing. Um, I have a few different movies, one of which I can't say much about it because I don't want to screw myself, but there's a piece that I'm working on that was a very prestigious documentary that we're working on securing the life rights for right now.
Okay.
And it kind of fell into my lap for through cosmic circumstances. And I've had nothing but great conversations with the people involved in the film and the real life people that were the subjects of the film. And it's the first time it would have ever been adapted to a narrative, and it's kind of unbelievable that it hasn't been. And it was through the fact that my wife happened to have family in this very small town. And if somebody ended up mentioning it to me, and it was like a chain of events that are almost too crazy to be true that led me to
Yeah.
like having this opportunity. Um, there's a script I wrote called Dead Meat, which is uh, a movie set inside of a fast food restaurant when the apocalypse strikes, and they have to stay open and stay alive, and that was kind of something I learned from my travels out in Citrus. I saw that this gentleman named Francis Galupi, I think, is doing a new Evil Dead. He had a movie called One Last Stop in Yuma County, and we had a short conversation. Very sweet guy, but didn't speak to him long. But it just kind of put something into my head of like, well, what can you shoot? What can you do? And this, hence the single location ish. Dead Meat was born as part of the Dead trilogy, um, which I've written. I'm almost done with the third installation of that now. Um, Dead Getaway was one that I wrote with Carly when we went to a cabin in the woods and had some very odd experiences. And I'm like, this is a horror movie.
Yeah.
And the pipes were freezing, and all sorts of things were like, just this is good fodder here. And then you just turn it into this other thing, and then it becomes, you know, Rosemary's Baby meets Wicker Man or something. I don't know. But yeah, no, Dead Meat's one I'm really excited about. It's because I worked in fast food before, and who hasn't had a shitty retail job, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I think Hollywood sometimes has as one of my I have a fantastic producer that I've connected with named Miriam Drager. Chris Gaunt is another producer that's been with me from day one and has supported me through thick and thin. But Miriam Drager is a cross media horror producer who specializes in all sorts of different things. Um, yeah, so I had the good fortune of co basically coming into a really good team that has, including Carly as well, um, that believes in this idea, and then potentially a an opportunity to get some of these ideas off the ground through some wonderful local connections, and not only my ideas, big picture, I'm looking at like this. I want this to be bigger than me. I want this to, I have so many friends in the industry now where I'm like, if they just had that thing, we're all looking for the thing.
Hmm.
It's like if I'm able to give the thing, and kind of help with projects that I think are of really high quality and just need like a little bit of a push. And if I get into that position, that would be the dream, is to see those things manifest for others, and then have the opportunity to continuously do my projects if I make, by making our believers successful.
So you have all these projects planned in different stages going on right now. What about Tasteless? If people want to see, because that's finished for now, at least. If someone wanted to go see it, where could they see it?
So right now it's kind of doing the festival dance,
Okay.
which is always tricky because there's all these rules and stuff, as people probably, as your viewers probably know about, like premiere status and stuff like that. So it's like even showing it in my hometown is a risky proposition, which is unfortunate. I wish it was a little less stringent about that
Yeah.
um, type of thing. But I mean, when it comes to the end of the run, I will absolutely keep you updated. And then, whether it ends up on Alter or Dusk or one of these like cool kind of platforms, that would be a great fit for it, in my opinion. Um, and who knows if it turns into something larger. Um, I am always open to ideas and to collaborating, and I'm very much a heart on my sleeve type of person, where I'm like, hey, if there's a connection there, I'm like, let's do it, man. I'm ready to roll. Like and I also have a feature film documentary that's almost done, which I should have probably have mentioned. It's called
Hey,
The
you're
Shadow.
saying it now.
Yeah, it's called The Shadow That Broke the Light. I cut my teeth as an editor on this one too.
You just keep adding roles to your resume.
Yeah. Yeah, Miriam likes to say it would have been easier for you to say what you don't do.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's like I was only, I was kind of taking the piss out of like you see actors. It's like I can shoot a bow and arrow. I can ride a horse. I can do. It's like
Yeah.
I was like, what can I do? So it wasn't that extensive, but it was. Yeah, this isn't. It's been, usually I'm the person sitting in with the editor, and I've been doing that too on this one. But I did some of it on my own, as it's been kind of it's a sprawling documentary about the overdose epidemic in Philadelphia. Um, and so that's very close to my heart. And it also is a hybrid documentary in the sense that the backbone of the story is a play, a one-man play.
Oh, okay.
And so we filmed a one-man play, which I saw 5 years ago, I guess, when they premiered the play in Troy, New York. And the only reason I saw it was because the festival director, or excuse me, the festival director, the theater director, David Gerard, asked if he could borrow my record player as a prop to be in the show. I said sure. So I came to the thing, and then it ended up hitting me real hard. And they do at the end of the performance, they do what's like called like a Quaker meeting, where you can stand up and say something, or we can sit in silence and for a certain amount of time. And I felt that urge inside to stand up and say something and say how I was moved by it and how close it hit home for me. And then a few years later, Adam Delmar, it's from Charlie Del Marcel and Adam Del Marcel, two brothers that wrote the play together. Charlie performs it, and it oscillates between stories of people who've lost loved ones, all different types of relationships, where Charlie embodies their spirit, um, and then stories about their brother Joey, who passed away from an overdose that they didn't know he had, to an addiction they didn't know he had. So you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll feel very deeply, and I'm extremely proud to be a part of that project. And we've made several trips down to Philadelphia as well, where we've interviewed harm reductionists and different people in the sort of on the spectrum of what's going on down there, and are finding, our way into integrating those as little vignettes, because the play has natural because the way it oscillates between things is the play has natural breaks
Hmm.
in the form of every 5 minutes and 13 seconds a bell rings, and that signifies somebody just passed away. And that turns him from whatever he's doing in the play. Like he might be in the middle of a thought, a sentence, and you're like, I want to know what he's going to say. And it gets cut off, and then he hangs up a piece of paper, and the paper is symbolic. And I won't give everything away about it, but it's um, those natural breaks have kind of led us to like, well, maybe we can use those natural breaks as ways to go away and go away from the interior and go to the outside world of what's happening in the now.
Oh my goodness. That sounds, man, I don't even know what word to use. That sounds crazy, seems like not the right word that I want to say, but huh, that's a lot to
Yeah,
think about.
it's unique. It's a unique thing.
Yeah. It sounds very, very interesting, and I can definitely sympathize with seeing things that move you to make other work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
no, I'm proud to be a part of it, that
yeah.
they brought me on and same thing with some of these other projects and things lining up. It's like you got to pay attention to the signs, and if you don't, you're kind of you might, I'm like if I don't do this, I'm stupid. I'd be stupid
Yeah.
enough to reach out when a moment is right in your face, and it's like uh this is cheesy, but it reminds me of this moment that always gets me because Robert De Niro kind of reminds me of my grandfather, and my grandfather is very much like my hero, and he passed away. But he says something to Bradley Cooper in a movie called Silver Linings Playbook, and that I know the director's super problematic, but he says something to him at the end of it when he's performed this dance, and after his ex-wife's there who cheated on him and stuff, and it really broke him as a person. And he's been hanging out with Jennifer Lawrence's character and stuff like this, and maybe it's melodramatic, whatever. I don't care. There's a moment of Rob that's so real where Robert De Niro comes up and he sees this dynamic playing out of her being sad that he's talking to his ex-wife after all that they've been through together, this dance, they're not celebrating together, not sharing this moment together. And he's like, I know you didn't want to listen to your father, I didn't listen to mine, but I'm telling you, uh, that girl loves you. She really, really loves you. And I don't know if Nikki ever did, but she sure as hell doesn't love you right now. And this is a sign. This is a sign. And it would be a sin if you didn't reach out and grab it.
Right.
I'm telling you right now. I'm just telling you right now. You don't fuck this up. And then he hugs him. And he's like, "I love you, Dad." And I'm in tears. And it's like the exact thing you want your dad to say to you. And but I took that's what I took away from that movie is that little moment was so genuine. And so I kind of I kind of make it my mantra to like pay attention to the signs. Go towards your heart. Go towards what's fun. Take that chance. Reach out to that person. Because you never know until you try, and you don't know
Right.
if they're gonna say yes, like or no. You don't know they're gonna say no. You don't. So it's like they might, and you'll get a sense of who your people are, and you start to find your people and collect your kind of group of like-minded individuals of folks that are passionate about the same things you are and see the world in a way that um is reflective of the way that you see the world. And that's not like an echo chamber or something that I'm looking for, but I'm looking forward to I like to be challenged too on those ideas, but that have that same passion and drive. And I think that's something that I'm really attracted to is when I see that somebody's like really serious and genuine, about who they are and what they're trying to do. And
That that's a very not only a very beautiful way to think about this, but it's a lot more elegant than than saying YOLO. But you're right. It's like you got to take the chances when they're presented to you. You know, if
yeah.
something is like hitting you on the head, like do this thing, this is, the time to do it, then you got to take it. You got to do it.
And don't look up, yeah. And so like a lot of that comes from, well, that's gonna be a lot of work, right? Like try I used to have so much trouble because I'd look up at the top of the mountain before I'd start walking. Don't do that for anything. Like just like accept that you're just walking up this mountain, no matter where you are in your career. Like experience will tell you that I've walked up this mountain before. I know I can do it again. But you got to just start walking. Like
Right. As
no
long as
matter,
you're walking, then you're doing great. You got to
yeah,
start. That's it.
you look up, you freak yourself out. You're like, how am I ever going to get up there? Well, you're always going to be walking up that mountain, just in another way. And just learn to. I don't want to say something cliche. It's like it's going to be hard. There's going to be times when you have to scale down the mountain a little bit, or it's never like a linear path or anything like that to like you do this, you do this, you do this, and you win. There's ups and downs, and you kind of learn to roll with the punches and just keep moving the best you can while giving yourself the grace when you need it to take a step back and before you get back on that mountain.
Now we have reached the end of the interview. Is there any last thing you want to say about anything, about Tasteless, about what we were just talking about? Any last words?
Last words. Famous last words. Boy, I don't know.
I mean, if not, that's cool too.
No, I so appreciate you having me on and having like a kind of in-depth discussion about art and meaning and projects and all sorts of exciting things, and of course Tasteless. And I have high hopes for it. I hope we can push that thing all around the world and get it seen
All the
and
way up the mountain.
up the mount all the way up the mountain. And I won't, one thing you can take away from this interview is that I'll be here. I'll be here. I'll be making my things. There's no quitting me. And and I'm so grateful to be a part of a community, with places like Film Quest and Ozarks and Citrus and all these other festivals, and my local 518 Film Network friends and Film Albany friends and Hudsey friends, um, that have accepted me so warmly into their community and have you know uh, enabled my crazy ideas. So I give, you can never make a movie alone. It's impossible. And I love movies so much because it's a marriage of so many different, creative disciplines, all experts in their own way, coming together to make this beautiful thing, and I think you set the tone as a filmmaker. That's what I try to do, is kind of set a tone of positivity and remember, hey guys, we're making a movie here. This is fun.
Right.
This is supposed to be fun. And and I know it's gonna be work at times. It might not be fun at this, but like as long as you're aware of your folks' time and their lives and what they got going on, and you don't get too myopic about that your project is the end all be all. I think that's an important thing to know. Um, I'm not trying to be preachy in any type. It's just like shit that I picked up along the way that may or may not be useful to folks listening, and it's always a good reminder for myself. But yeah, I just have so much love for my collaborators. I'll just list a few off right now. Jim Powers, John Stegman, Chris Gaunt, Lakota Ruby Eck, who was the DP on Tasteless, Thomas Peters, um, Cody Chakowski, who has been my sound designer and mixer on my records as well as on my last couple films, and somebody I'll work with forever, um, and so many other actors and filmmakers that I think are just extraordinarily talented that have given me the time of day. Miriam Drager, I feel like I should just do the Joe Pesci thing and be like, it was my pleasure. But like, I do really want to give, and I'll be like, I'm gonna kick myself for not saying like somebody's name. But yeah, it takes a village, man. It really does, and you know, you want to spread the love around, and I'm really grateful that I came in was as a kid with a lot of dreams, with not a lot of idea of how to execute them. Um, I had watched movies, I started writing scripts, but I wasn't very good. There was seeds of stuff that was good to work with, but if I was looking at my first movie, I'd be like, I'd remake it, and there's so many things I would change about it. That's part of it, like learning to accept, like, hey, it might not be great right away. But I'm super grateful for my team, and that I was put into a position to succeed by working with professionals and learning how to be a professional through watching them work. And that's been on big sets. I should mention my friend James Abrams too, who was integral to helping me with the pilot as we rewrote the pilot for the fledgling. And who knows, vampires never go away either. That's something we sunk a lot of time into. Um, but we got several other TV pilots, Karma Police, Grief. I could go on forever, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but yeah, there's a lot to be excited about, and I try to keep a patient mind, because you can only do so much at a time, and but there's a lot to be excited about, and hope to be able to update you in more in less vague terms in the near future.
Yes, definitely. Especially if if Tasteless gets out to like the mass population. But if you follow up with, like mindless, heartless, whatever else, I definitely want to see that because that sounds awesome. And that brings us to the end of today's Feast of Fear. A big thank you to Joe for coming to talk to me and to making this short. Because shorts like this prove that horror can be delicious, it can be layered, and it can be profound. But most importantly, as Joe described, if you have a dream, go for it. And absolutely do not give up until you get there. And with that said, my creepy connoisseurs, stay hungry, stay spooky, and I'll see you next time.